Oh,
So, Hare Krishna Chandrasekhar Prabhu, this is me, Krishna Priya Shirada. And so, I I just want to give a little bit introduction of Chandrasekhar Prabhu. He helped me personally to give his introduction because, so Chandrasekhar Prabhu, like it's our honor and privilege to welcome Prabhuji and introduce his in this our online Bhakti Shastri program. So, his grace Chandrasekhar Prabhu, he actually born and raised between Los Angeles and Paris, and Prabhuji has begun his spiritual journey like uh, early, very early, becoming a devotee at the age of 20 in 1993. And he received both his first and second initiation from His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj in 1995 and 1997, respectively. And for like 4 to 5 years, Prabhuji have served as a dedicated brahmachari at the Los Angeles temple, and he became the one of the top book distributor in America. Prabhuji was actually distributing Srila Prabhupada's book every single day with enthusiasm at the airport for 5 years continuously with great zeal. And so he has also like had the great fortunate of serving like a traveling assistant of Srila Bhakti of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj for 4 years. So Prabhuji's devotion extended into creative service as well. Like he protected Shyam Sundar Prabhu in the filming of Abhay Charan series. For several years, he has also served under Indradyuman Swami Maharaj as the lead singer of 18 Days, reggae-inspired Krishna conscious band that brought the holy name to diverse the audience. And Prabhu also was the earlier supporter of Krishna West program initiated by His Holiness Indradyuman, Hridayanandan Das Goswami. And he even though we are seeing that Prabhu is continue to preach extensively online. He gives Bhakti Shastri classes. He has multiple YouTube channels, and he also having a French language podcast on YouTube. And Prabhuji shares Krishna consciousness with the global audience. And academically, he holds a bachelor degree in religious studies from University of California. He has also done his master's from Oxford University. And now, by the grace of Krishna, we are so fortunate and honored that Prabhuji is here. So, thank you so much, Chandrasekhar Prabhuji, for giving us your precious and valuable time. And we are so sorry that we disturb you again and again by calling, by texting, by remembering. Thank you so much.
I'm the one who apologizes. You can hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, I really, yesterday was beyond my control, but today, if you had not, I apologize. I really apologize to all of you for having waited. I remember I had the Sankirtan leader, speaking of, book distribution. I remember when we would drive to the Los Angeles airport, we had a very, very tight schedule, and we had to be in the van with all our book bags, by 8:45 a.m. And I remember our Sankirtan leader, the late Sura Prabhu, he was a little bit heavy-handed sometimes in his transcendental ways. And so he would, if someone was 5 minutes late, he would say, "It's 5 minutes, but there's 7 Sankirtan devotees in the van, so it's 5 times 7. How much is that?" So, so what, that's 40, 45? So that's 40 minutes. So I see there's so many of you, and so 15 minutes times 30 is a long, long time. So please forgive me. So there's all these devotees here. I'll just read who, I mean, I see if you're initiated, but you have a different name, then, but my business is to all of you, Manisha, Naina, Komal, Ritika, Shobha, Hitka, Sawita, excuse me if I don't pronounce them. You have Jatin and Raki, Doshna, Daya, and Komal, and Prachi, and Roshni, and Mehak, and Damni, and Devika, and Kishori, Nimerta, Sunita, Gitika, Ria, Aruna, Neha, Simal, Kajal, Barka, and then we have a whole bunch of other Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Punam, and Chet Na, and Rohit, and Meena, and Prerna, and just change here. And then we have Prem and Varsha, Sunil, Bhavna, Prem again, Jai Kumari, Priya, Aishwarya, Pinky, Tania, Punam. And so if I've missed anyone, please forgive me. Jai. So yes, it's my honor to be among all of you. Are you all physically, like geographically in Pakistan? Are you all in the
Yes,
same
Prabhuji.
city or just spread out throughout?
Spread out throughout.
Wow. Alhamdulillah. I mean, Hare Krishna. You have a special karma, I suppose, huh? I was just thinking, as I was driving so fast to, coming here from I'm staying now as you can see in the background, I'm staying in the room of, it's kind of like a men's ashram. It's a house that's owned or rented by,
Yeah, Prabhuji. From
come again,
different cities
come again,
and states.
come again. Someone is saying something, or
Rakhi
maybe,
Mataji, yeah, actually Rakhi Mataji is speaking, but her internet connection's not stable, Prabhuji.
okay. So I was thinking as I was driving here that maybe you all are, placed in Pakistan by Lord Chaitanya, or perhaps it's your destiny, but Lord Chaitanya is taking advantage of that, so that somehow you can play a role in the inconceivable prospect of a prominent Vaishnava community, in the future of Pakistan. Today I assume that seems quite improbable, given the rigid rules of Islam vis-a-vis other religions. And I don't know how much we should talk about that. I don't know what's politically correct if you're being if you're being wired by the Pakistani Islamic government. I don't know, but my point is that I'm thinking, if we believe in Lord Chaitanya's prediction of every town and village, that famous prediction, Prithivityachi Nagradigram Sarvatra Prachar Hoibe Moranam, in classical Bengali, where Lord Chaitanya predicts that in the future my holy name will be spread um, all over the world in every town and village. So if we take that literally, that would inconceivably also include Pakistan. So who knows if how many decades or centuries that will take, but you Prabhus and you Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis are playing an extremely important role in that fulfillment of Lord Chaitanya. So we will read the Nectar of Instruction together, and what I think we should do today is, there's so many of us. I didn't know how many of us we would be. I thought we would maybe a group of 10 or 5 or 15, and I thought that in such a small group we could take turns reading the verses from the Nectar of Instruction. I think we should still do that. I was also thinking of asking every one of you to introduce yourself perhaps, and also tell us if you've read the Nectar of Instruction, and if you have, what's your favorite part of it, and so on. And I think we should still do that, but perhaps on a sort of a volunteer basis. Whoever raises their digital hand first can speak, because obviously, with how many are we all? We're 43. So it's a little difficult. Does everyone have the Nectar of Instruction in front of you?
Not yet, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji, we have.
So perhaps in the next few seconds you could have a copy of it. Kishori, you raised your hand. Would you like to ask something or say something?
Prabhuji, I have.
Okay, very good. You have it. Fantastic. So the Pakistani government allows you to have Hindu, quote unquote, shastras with you.
Yes, Prabhu.
So as long as you don't go out and preach to Muslims, they let you in peace, correct? That's kind of like their system, right? That's how it was in Europe, centuries ago, when Islam had control of Spain, on this area called how is it called, Andalusia. So they would I guess that's the standard. You have an Islamic government, and then the smaller religions are allowed to live, as long as they don't preach and as long as they pay tribute. So I guess we have a modern equivalent in Pakistan. That's great. And were you all born there?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
How many, I'm sorry to ask because I really don't know about the Hindu population in Pakistan. How many, out of how many people, how many citizens, how many people are there in the whole country of Pakistan, and what's the percentage of Hindus? Anyone would like to answer that?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's kind of different in every city. Some of them are very much, there are very much a population of Hindus there, and some of them are very low and that's all. But we have all over the country, there are Hindus.
You have about 260 million citizens in Pakistan. That's a lot of people. And I'm just typing here, total populations of Hindus in Pakistan, it's 5 million. So who's good in math? 251. What's 5 million compared to 251? Well, I just asked here. It's about 2%. You have 2% of Hindus in Pakistan. It's interesting because that's more or less the kind of the same numbers you have in Europe and America. The number of Hindus, let's say in America, constitutes about 2%. Right. So, has anyone not read the Nectar of Instruction? Shobha hasn't. Okay, Naina hasn't. Okay, good that you raise your hand. So far we're about 6 or 7, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. It's going up. We're at that 17. I feel like we're in an auction, you know? You know the auctions. Okay, anyone more for 16? Going for 16,000 rupees. Going once, going twice. We have 17,000. So there's basically 15 who have never read the Nectar of Instruction. So that's about a third of you. Is everyone familiar with Rupa Goswami? And you can be honest. There's there's nothing wrong with not being familiar with Rupa Goswami. Has anyone not heard of Rupa Goswami? I guess some of you have not. So allow me then, if it's okay, just to mention a little bit about Rupa Goswami, okay? Because he's such a. We in ISKCON, we follow Prabhupada, right? The founder Acharya of ISKCON, and oh, and by the way, before we speak about Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami, also I wanted to mention. Also, as I was walking here, I was like, okay, all these students are going to be, Indian-bodied, so to speak, Hindus. And so one may ask, on what authority is a white man, teaching quote unquote Hindu Shastras to Indian Hindus, right? And my answer immediately came that when you have a spiritual tradition that is founded, theologically speaking, on the premise that we are not our physical bodies, that we are eternal spirit souls, that we are not Pakistani, we're not Indian, we're not American, we're not ethnically Indian or white or black or Arab, we're not men, we're not women, we are souls. Mamevam sho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha, Krishna says in the Gita, and then Kaviraj Goswami specializes even more. We are Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. In Vaishnavism, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we believe, as stated in this very famous verse by Kaviraj Goswami, that we are eternal servants of Krishna. We have nothing to do with the physical body. So, unlike other traditions, which identify to a great degree with the physical body, Sanatan Dharma traditions, and especially Vaishnavism, posits itself on this premise that we have nothing to do with the physical body. And so therefore, who speaks for Krishna, or who speaks on authority, on whose authority, who speaks for Hinduism or who speaks for Vaishnavism is really up for grabs. It's anyone. Anyone who knows Krishna a little bit can represent Krishna. Precisely because of this fundamental premise, this belief, and we hope it's reality, it's scientific reality, that we are not our physical bodies. In contrast, and with all due respect to other traditions, especially their expressions of bhakti, as apprentices, for example, I don't know if you know, but when Prabhupada the founder of ISKCON, was in Tehran, in in Iran. He was there for a few days. He preached there, and at one point he heard the familiar call to prayer from the mosque, which is very loud in India, in my humble opinion, but that's another topic. But when he heard that call to prayer, he said, "This is bhakti. This is bhakti yoga. This is bhakti." So, we should see bhakti and devotion to a personal God in all the theistic religions of the world. But closing that parenthesis, when you have a tradition that again is founded on the idea that we are to a certain degree our bodies, then it really does matter what is your background, or what is your body, or let's say in caste Brahmanism. I don't know if some of you are from a Brahmin caste, for example, and that's great if you are from a caste Brahmana, a Brahmin, or the Brahmin jati or the Brahmin caste, great, because you have all these nice samskars and everything, and now you have the best of both worlds. You have the material benefits of being in a high class family, and of course the most important thing is that you're becoming, or you are, Vaishnavis or Vaishnavas, which transcends even the Brahmin caste. But for example, here the temple president in New Mayapur here is a devotee from South India. His name is Lochan Prabhu. He married a white girl from France who was born in ISKCON, and they have a little daughter. And he was telling me, he's not from a Brahmin family, but he was telling me that he was telling us in class the other day that he occasionally goes home to visit his family and stuff, and some of his neighbors are from the Brahmin caste, and they literally tell him, it's nice this bhakti you're doing in ISKCON, but unless you take birth in our family, you're going to have to take birth again. Like, you're not going to go to the spiritual world unless you take birth in our family only. So you see this sort of skin disease in Hinduism, and you see it with the Jews. I don't know how familiar you are with Judaism, but the Jews, in large part, unless they become Vaishnavas, believe, as is stated in their own scriptures, the Old Testament and other stuff like the Torah, and I think the Torah and the Old Testament are one and the same. I'm not an expert in Judaism, but for example, I had a professor at the University of California. Her name was Barbara Holdridge. And don't mind that we get into this discussion here, because it's an introduction. We'll be together for many hours, so I think it's important to kind of establish a historical context, a theological context, and then we speak about Rupa Goswami, and finally we'll get into the verse. So this professor Barbara Holdridge, who's actually good friends with Tamal Krishna Goswami, the late Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was Prabhupada's right-hand man. I mean, he spent the most amount of time with Prabhupada, and he at the end of his life, he got his PhD from Cambridge. And she knows Garuda Prabhu, Hridayananda Maharaj, Giridhar Swami. So and her expertise is both Judaism and Vaishnavism, and she's Jewish herself also. And I'll always remember when I was her student, I said, "Listen, Barbara, please tell me, according to Jewish understanding, and about reincarnation as is taught in Bhagavad Gita, because this is what you've studied for so many years, so you understand what we as Vaishnavas believe about the soul and about reincarnation. Tell me, according to Jews, to Jewish belief, yes, we understand that, Jews believe that they are the chosen tribe of God, the chosen people of God, kind of like Muslims believe too, the last prophet was Muhammad, and that's why we have to make everyone Muslim. And but tell me, do Jews actually believe that the soul, the actual soul, the Atma of a Jewish person is also different from other souls? And she, embarrassingly, because she knows where I was coming from, given that she was an expert in Jiva Goswami and Vaishnavism, she kind of embarrassing, and because she's Jewish or born in a Jewish family, she admitted kind of embarrassingly, she said, yeah, actually, if you research, you'll see that actually Jews really do believe that even their soul is different, special, compared to all other human souls. So again, this type of, I'm sorry, but Prabhupada called it skin disease. And then you have, you have Muslims where you have to recite, the Quran in Arabic, because unless you recite it in Arabic, there won't be as much effect. And as apprentices, some Vaishnavas believe that, of course, Sanskrit we believe is the most refined language. It's we could say that the language of the spiritual world. However, the teachings of Krishna, whether they're taught to us in Sanskrit, in English, or in vernacular Bengali or in Arabic. I mean, why does the BBT, for example, print Bhagavad Gita's in Arabic? Because the point is that, Krishna's teachings are beyond this or that language, and do not depend on, the proper pronunciation. Like, for example, speaking of caste Brahmins, you have these, caste Brahmins, for example, in South India, who for generations, teach their young boys to recite the Veda, the four Vedas, or the Rig Veda by heart, isn't it? And they just learn the whole Rig Veda. And for them, who are not Vaishnavas, if there's one little pronunciation, a long A when it's supposed to be a short A, or a sh instead of a cha, or something like that, then the whole effect of reciting that Veda is null and void. But for Vaishnavas, we
don't
believe that
have such hard and fast rules.
exactly, we don't have such hard and fast rules. Well said. Exactly. Because we believe that Krishna is, this, how Krishna described, Krishna is Bhavagrahi, famous Bhavagrahi Janardhan. Janardhan, who is who takes the bhava. For example, when Sudama Vipra, out of ecstasy, offered Krishna, a banana peel instead of the actual banana. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is in the story of
It's a story of Vidura.
okay, Vidura. So
Yes.
the point is, whether it's Vidura, you get my point. Like, he was overwhelmed by ecstasy, and Krishna accepted that offering with love. And there's more examples like this in Shastra. So coming back to this point of who can represent Vaishnavism, I spoke for a half hour here just to to justify that I'm teaching, or sharing my realizations and guiding us through Rupa Goswami's teachings and Prabhupada's commentaries, as a quote-unquote white American, Franco-American. But I do so, again, because our very tradition allows us to do so. Do you know this verse? Kiba vipra kiba nyasi shudra kene noi, ye Krishna tattvaveta say guru hoy. Has anyone not heard of this shloka? You can raise your hand, maybe your digital hand. Okay, Prachi never heard of it. Riya never heard of it. Meka Bharka, Shobha. It's another verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah, so a lot of you have not heard of it. Hitika and Nimerta, Jatin also hasn't heard it. So, as you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? The most important biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is which book?
Chaitanya.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that was written by Kaviraj Goswami. So in that Chaitanya Charitamrita, he mentions this very famous verse, Kiba vipra kiba nyasi shudra kene noi, ye Krishna tattvaveta se guru hoy. And guru doesn't necessarily mean a diksha guru. It can be someone like me, like a humble servant of this congregation, who is simply facilitating, and perhaps who has a little bit of experience and knowledge. The word guru is very, the spectrum is large, but kiba vipra. So whether he's a vipra, kiba nyasi, whether he's a sannyasi, or shudra, kenenoi, or whether he's a shudra, it doesn't matter. Ye Krishna tattvaveta, but one who knows Krishna in truth, veta, Krishna tattva veta, say guru hoy, he or she is a guru. So like that, by the mercy of Bhakti Charu Swami and the Hridayanand Maharaj and Indradumna Swami and all the Vaishnavas who have taught me so far, and of course Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and of course Krishna and the mercy of Radha Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, by their mercy only, someone like me can speak, and we can speak as souls. We can hear and speak and share the Shastra, the nectar of Shastra, as spirit souls, who are not Pakistanis and who are not women, but who are eternal souls, servants of Krishna. So Rupa Goswami, he was one of the six, what do we call him? The six Goswamis of Vrindavan.
Goswamis.
Swami.
Yes, six Goswamis of Vrindavan. So they're considered to be the most important, the most important, the most intimate associates, disciples, yes, leaders of our tradition. As a matter of fact, we are all Rupa Anugas. That means we are all following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. He's the key figure. Just like, in Christianity, Paul, the Apostle Paul, is considered to be, the most important, although some people say that he really speculated. He never even met Jesus. And what we have today is more Paulism than Christianity. But that's another issue. But the point is, Paul is like really, really important in Christianity. So in a similar way, Rupa Goswami is the most important authority, theologically speaking, in the Chaitanya tradition. Now, you all understand that we believe that we are souls, correct? That we are eternal souls. But are you also familiar that we believe as Vaishnavas that each soul has a swarup, an eternal relationship with Krishna? That some souls are related eternally with Krishna in the mood of Nanda Maharaj or Yashoda. They relate to Krishna, in the spiritual world when they're liberated as souls that have a parental relationship with Krishna. Like they see Krishna as their child or as their, familial dependent. And then there's other souls, like, for example, the gopis, who have a relationship with Krishna. So some souls are, in feminine, eternal gopi forms, which we call swarup, and they relate to Krishna as their lover. And then some souls, like, Madhu Mangal and the friends of Krishna, who go with Balaram and play with Krishna and Balaram in the forest and tend the cows and, play picnic and hide and go seek and, have fun killing demons in the forest during the day. They are souls, they are liberated souls who have swarups, or who have forms that relate to Krishna as a brother, right? Some souls have a neutral relationship with Krishna. Some just have a servant relationship with Krishna. Why do I say this? Because Rupa Goswami, we believe, and he himself mentions in his own prayers, that he is who? Who is he in the spiritual world? He even has a specific name. Does anyone know?
Rupa Manjari.
Yes, who said that? Who was it? That was Hari Priya. Yes, so he is Rupa Manjari. So he has the same name, in his physical body as he does eternally. So he's a Manjari. So as you know, Manjaris are, we hear, younger assistants of the gopis who assist Radharani and Krishna in their eternal, loving affairs. So as you can see, Rupa Goswami therefore has an extremely, extremely important position, because he is one of the most confidential, in the spiritual, in this body, he had a male physical body, a male human body, but in his spiritual eternal form, he has an eternal Satchit Ananda form of a young Manjari, whose name is Rupa Manjari, and who assists, the different older Sakis or Manjaris in serving Radha and Krishna. As a matter of fact, there's a song by Narottam Das Thakur. You probably all know Narottam Das Thakur, because you know that song that we sing in ISKCON temples, Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. That was written by Narottam Das Thakur in honor of his guru, who was Lokanath Goswami, and therefore he writes Lokanath Lokera Jivana. And in one of his prayers, Narottam Das Thakur says that in his spiritual form, which is also that of a Manjari, he will be taken by his guru, Lokanath Goswami, who also has a Manjari form. This is very esoteric, guys, but you can handle it. Lokanath Goswami in his Manjari form takes Narottam Das Thakur in his Manjari form to Rupa Goswami. and Rupa Goswami says, "Oh, who have you brought? This is a young Manjari." And Rupa Goswami then takes charge of engaging, Narottam Das Thakur in his eternal form, in the service of Radha and Krishna. So from these glimpses, from these very esoteric poems by Narottam Das Thakur and others, and Rupa Goswami himself, we see that he has such an important role in the spiritual world as well as in the material world, because as Prabhupada mentions in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, he there's that famous verse, Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapatantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? So Rupa Goswami is in charge, let's say, of establishing in the material world the mission of Lord Chaitanya, which is what? We spoke about it at the very beginning. Maybe Jatin, you can tell us, what is the mission of Lord Chaitanya in this world? You're still muted. If Jatin, are you, yeah? Should we ask you want to say something? We can't hear you because you're muted. Oh, you can't speak. You're at library. Okay. So, Gitika Harani, you raised your hand. So maybe you'd like to say?
Holy name all around the world.
Yeah.
Every town, every village.
Every town and village. So that's Rupa Goswami for us, guys. Rupa Goswami has this incredibly important role, both in the spiritual world and in the material world. And he wrote many books. What other book did Prabhupada translate and condense, which was also written by Rupa Goswami? Anyone? It's part of your curriculum.
Nectar of Devotion.
Nectar of
Nectar
Devotion,
of Devotion.
which is a summary of what book? What is the name?
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Which means what?
Ocean of devotion.
Yes. So that one are you starting now actually, or have you already done it? Have you already done Nectar of Devotion?
We'll start after.
Come again?
We haven't done yet.
Is this your first module?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
No, Prabhu, it's our second module.
Yeah,
What book did you read in the last module?
First Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1 to 6. Nectar of Devotion will be our unit 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. Everyone's got their copy. Let's go to the text. And what I suggest we do is that we actually we'll read the actual verses. Prabhupada very much instructed us to pay close attention to his commentary. For sure. We must read his purports. We must read his commentaries. At the same time, we should remember that this was written not by Prabhupada, it was written by Rupa Goswami. And these 11 verses, these 11 texts, are the direct words of Rupa Goswami. And Prabhupada builds his commentary around, and supporting and elucidating those 11 key verses. So what I'll do is I'll read the first verse, and then I guess, just whoever raises their hand first can read the second one, and we'll go through all 11 now, and then we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll convene again. But let us start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So, text 1. So, Rupa Goswami is telling us here. Huh? And remember, this is kind of like it's a very small text. I mean, the Bhagavad Gita has 800 verses. This is just 11 verses. The book itself is very small, and that's with Prabhupada's long purports. Imagine if you take out Prabhupada's purports, you have a very, 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 very small book. So it's kind of like one of those, you know, essential condensed guides, which start, and you'll see it starts from the most fundamental point of, you need to control your senses, sense control, don't let your tongue go here and there, and, the senses. To all, starts with very foundational, basic, we could say ABC of spiritual life. And then it ends in the most esoteric descriptions of Shri Shri Radha Kund, the sacred lake of Radharani, and so on. So in that sense, it's an amazing book because it takes you from the most basic fundamentals all the way to the most advanced confidential knowledge of Radha and Krishna. So text 1. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So this, we'll definitely go into it, but just a few thoughts. One thing, this goes to show just how much, first of all, it's hard to control one's senses and one's anger and so on, because Rupa Goswami says here, if you can do those things, you can accept disciples all over the world. So it must mean that it's difficult. And again, coming to this theme that we spoke about just before, right away, Rupa Goswami establishes the sort of the free-for-all ethos of Vaishnavism, that bhakti really is for whoever takes it. It's up for grabs. Just like, for example, if you leave $100 in the street, it's up for grabs. Like whoever sees it and grabs it. Well, I mean, Chanakya Pandit says you should you should leave somebody else's belongings in the street like stool. But so maybe it's a bad example. But for example, you leave, I don't know, a nice piece of, a huge cake, on a public table, and say, serve yourself. Here are the plates, here are the cups, free, it's free, and serve yourself. That's, in the way, that's what bhakti is. Like, if you want Krishna, he's yours. Regardless of your caste, of your skin color, of your place of birth, of your age, of your wealth, of your beauty, of your education, and so on. There's no, ahetuki apratihata. There are no material impediments to loving God and to experiencing God's love.
And Prabhuji,
Yes.
even dog eaters can.
Yes, even dog eaters. Of course, hopefully they'll stop eating dog once they start chanting Hare Krishna. But yes, of course, dog eaters, even cow eaters. I mean, you have one right in front of you speaking. I grew up in a loose but still Catholic family where it's quite unfortunate. Actually, that was the one criticism of Prabhupada for Christianity in general. It wasn't really, oh, you guys don't believe in reincarnation, or you don't, accept that Sri Krishna himself is the Supreme Lord, although we believe it. But his main critique was what? The eating of meat. I don't know if you're familiar with Western media so much, or you follow, but there was this assassination recently of Charlie Kirk. Are you all familiar with that? It's really made the news, right? Jatin is nodding his head. Well, for those of you who don't know, Charlie Kirk was a 31-year-old evangelical Protestant Christian, sort of a political figure, but a Christian preacher before his political conservative views. And he was expert for going to so many college campuses. He had a huge college, university campus ministry, and he was preaching to people your age. I see you're all basically in your late teens, early 20s. And he would just have open debates on issues like abortion and faith and, challenging things like LGBTQ and trying to indirectly preach the gospel. And he was killed. He was assassinated just last week. A bullet right into his neck, and he died right there at the Utah State University. And it's made the headlines, at least all over Europe, all over America. There was a huge funeral ceremony for him in a huge stadium, American football stadium in Phoenix, Arizona, where he was from. And he has a widow now of one lady, Erica Kirk, and two little children, 1 and 3 years old. Why do I mention him? Because he really preached very strongly what we are, what we believe are the three, the three out of the 4 regulative principles. No illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. And he really influenced a lot of young students in U.S. universities to not, take drugs, to not drink, to not have promiscuous premarital sex, to not gamble. But when it came to meat eating, I mean, this is not recorded. It's not going. He was clueless. He was clueless. He would argue. He would make fun of vegans and animal right activists, like animals have no souls. Animal have no moral standing. It's perfectly fine to eat hamburgers and so on and so on. So I mentioned this because I forgot who mentioned dog eaters, but yeah, anyone can become a devotee, of course, from any background, however fallen one is. I mean, you have the prostitute, for example, in Haridas Thakur's pastime, and she became a great devotee by Haridas Thakur's mercy. You have Mirabai, also, not Mirabai, excuse me. You have what is her name? A courtesan lady who, huh?
Menka.
Yeah, who
Kanka,
was
Kanka. It was
maybe,
Kanka.
yeah. Bilvamangal Thakur was involved with her. So yeah, there's no, and therefore Muslims too, you see, like, why did a small parenthesis, but you should know this. Many, this is a correct understanding of history. Why did Islam have so much success relatively in India? Because of, the racism of the Brahmins, the discrimination of the Brahmins, based on skin disease, like overly marginalizing anyone who's not a Brahmin. So then here comes a Muslim and say, look, we don't care about you. We don't care who you are. So-called, come to us, come, join our religion. You're welcome. Same thing happened also with Sikhism and Guru Nanak, So, but yeah, we would consider, I mean, look at Haridas Thakur. What family, what religion was he born in?
Muslim.
Muslim. And isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that Haridas Thakur, who is Haridas Thakur in his previous life? Our Shastras say. Okay, this is Ishvar. He said Brahma, correct. He's Lord Brahma. He's Lord Brahma. And according to our understanding, or according to our Acharya's explanation, when Brahma became a little bit arrogant and puffed up, when he tried to trick Krishna by stealing the cowherd boys and hiding them in a cave, remember? And then he comes back to the picnic place and he sees that Krishna has expanded himself in those very same cowherd boys, and then at the end he realizes, oh my God, I'm messing with the wrong person here. I'm dealing with God. Like, excuse me, forgive me. And so he felt so guilty that it's said that in he desired, okay, in my next life, like, let me please take birth in a very humble, insignificant family. And therefore we, the version of our acharyas is that Lord Brahma then, in his next life, took birth as Haridas Thakur in a Muslim family. So yeah, according to sort of a strict Vedic standard, Muslims are, sort of low class, right? Untouchables, Yavanas, Mlechas, and so on. But it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible that the holy name, the Yuga, what is the Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga? Someone who hasn't answered yet.
Harinam Sankirtana.
Yes, Harinam Sankirtan. That's the Yuga Dharma, right? It's not deity worship, although deity worship is wonderful. It's so nice, so sweet. But it's Harinam Sankirtan, getting together and chanting the names of Krishna, correct? And maximum emphasis is placed on the holy name, correct? Chanting the holy name. So you would think that the person, the saint, who is, the patron saint of the holy name, would be an incredibly important personality, right? Like any, all saints are saints, but for example, if you have a saint that represents deity worship, for example, I don't think there is one. Now I'm thinking of the Catholic, there's the patron saints for traveling, a patron saint for this, a patron saint for that. So the patron saint for chanting Hare Krishna is, we could say, the most important honor in creation, in Kali Yuga. And who is the patron saint of chanting Hare Krishna in Kali Yuga? Haridas Thakur. And what family was he born in? A Muslim family. Yeah. So you see, you have everything. Rupa Goswami. What family was Rupa Goswami born in? He and Sanatan Goswami, they both, actually out of the 6 Goswamis, I think 5 of them, if not all 6, belong to what kind of family? What caste?
Muslim family.
Hmm?
Muslim family.
Nope.
Government family.
Government family. Well, they worked for the government at one point.
Yes.
But what caste were they born in? Were they Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, or Shudras?
Precious.
Nope. They were Brahmins. Yeah. So you see, it's wonderful. Lord Chaitanya displayed this wonderful pastime where we cannot say it's an accident. There's a plan, we could say, behind it to show us that, look, once you have bhakti, it doesn't matter about your past. You can become a great devotee coming from a Brahmin family, and you can become an equally great devotee coming from an untouchable family. And vice versa, you can be born in a fantastic Brahmin family and, almost be a demon if you want. As a matter of fact, Mahabharata explains very clearly that, the whole beginning of Mahabharata is precisely what? It's demoniac people, demoniac demons, rakshasas, who take birth in Brahmin families, isn't it? Who appear in Brahmin families, or who appear in wild, ferocious animals and kill the Brahmins, but also the idea of, high-class so-called families, but are actually demons in disguise. Hmm? And again, similarly, you can be born in a very fallen family and remain fallen. So you see, we all have free will, and it all depends on, whether you want Krishna or not. And if you do, there's no hold bars. So who wants to read text number 2? Hitika raised her hand first. Go for it. You have to unmute yourself. You just have to unmute yourself. You're still muted, Hitika. Yeah, we don't hear you. On your phone or whatever, it should say, aha, here we go. Go ahead.
Is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over-rendering for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the spiritual rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with the worldly minded, persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness and being greedy for modern achievements.
Very good. So Rupa Goswami here is giving us right away, look, if you do these 6 things here, your bhakti is going to become spoiled. So if you if you eat more than required, you know, this is a historical fact. A historical fact. It's known uh, at the beginning of ISKCON in the mid 1960s in New York. Prabhupada made this comment that, you know, when you first come to Krishna consciousness, you should eat so much prasadam that you that you waddle away like a duck. You know how ducks walk, because they're kind of they walk like this. So there's a direct instruction by Prabhupada that you should eat so much prasadam that you waddle away like a duck. You know, because the prasadam is so purifying. So, but I guess with time we learn to, you know, honor prasadam and maybe try not to eat too much. But collecting more funds than required. When you spend so much time collecting funds that I mean, nothing wrong with becoming rich, nothing wrong with becoming super rich. It's just that if your endeavor to become very rich or to collect money damages or impedes your sadhana, where you have no more time to hear a lecture, or you have no more time to chant your rounds, or you have no more time, to basically to do your service, then that's when, you know, things are not very good. Number 2, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. You know, when you really try for something material, like, I don't know, you want to become prime minister, or you want to get a visa for America, or I remember, this is not to make fun of him, but I remember I was in Juhu in Bombay with Bhakti Charumarj when we were filming the Abhay Charan series, and I was shocked because at one point there was this brahmachari, and he had a tantrum, like he was literally like on the floor, like screaming like a baby, you know, like in a tantrum, and he was screaming, "I want to go to America, I want to go to America," and he was an adult grown man. And so it kind of made me think of this as an example, you know, to over endeavor for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. So we should, you know, in the material field, we should try, because one of the 5 factors of action in the Bhagavad Gita, you've seen that, is endeavor, correct? So you have to put your endeavor into the mix. But if it becomes an overkill, like we say, then your bhakti is destroyed. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. We'll see in the commentary, Prabhupada talks about the croaking toad. Does anyone know the analogy of the croaking frog?
Yes, I know.
Yes, please go ahead, Daya. What is it?
It was like as frog or toad used to like use his tongue unnecessarily. In the same way, we used to talk about material things unnecessarily.
Yes, and then what happens? What happens when the toad croaks loudly?
And it invite the snake to eat himself. But
There you
the
go.
frog is inviting snake to eat her.
Right.
And in a similar way, we are inviting problems in our life by talking unnecessarily.
That's
Yes. We are not about being silent. Like, for example, I don't want to criticize, but here in the Pujaria room, I just saw, again, just before I came, the Pujaria room to go to the, you know, the backside of the altar here in ISKCON New Mayapur, it says, you know, sacred space, do not talk. And I don't think that's philosophically correct. Of course, you should not speak loudly, but to speak about Krishna, even inside the Pujaria room, even on the altar, if you're talking about Krishna, that talk is Krishna Katha. That's transcendental. That's absolutely good. It's all good. However, to speak, you know, oh, did you hear about Gopika? Or, oh my God. And you know what he, you know, Hitesh said to I don't know, to Mary, and, you know, Gramya Katha, then that's when our bhakti becomes damaged. Number 4, practicing their scriptural rules and regulation for the sake of following them. and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. This is very important. We get so absorbed in the ritual that we forget why we're doing it in the first place. Very, very important. Or the other extreme is to reject the rules and regulations and working independently or whimsically. Associating, number 5, with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. So Sangha is very important. Tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. Therefore, it's very important to have Satsanga, to have Vaishnava Sangha. So, you have to somehow become friends with Vaishnavis and Vaishnavas and keep that Sangha very close to your heart. Because with that Vaishnava, that regular Vaishnava Sangha, Maya just eats you up, And finally, being greedy for mundane achievements. It's very similar to number 2. Again, being so greedy for some mundane achievement. Like I remember I always wanted to be a rock star or a famous actor. And I was overly greedy to do that. Yeah. Okay, who wants to read number 3? Geetika, I think. Is that?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna ji. Gitika.
Okay, go ahead. Verse 3.
Hare Krishna. Here are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very good. So we have to be enthusiastic for our sadhana. So for example, we have to try to wake up early in the morning, for example. But this is important. I don't know if you all know what is Brahma Muhurta, but it's recommended by our acharyas to be up during this Brahma Muhurta. There's an app that you can get for those who do the Apple. It's called GCal, like GCal. It's just, and there's all sorts of also for Android, a Vaishnav calendar, and it tells you when is the Brahma Muhurta. Brahma Muhurta starts an hour and a half before sunrise. So of course, if you live in a place of the earth where the sunrise is at 3 in the morning, then it's like, like some countries like Siberia, Russia, where in the winter the sun rises at like 10 a.m. and in the contrary, or in the other season it rises, really. But in places where it's doable to wake up, maybe at 4, maybe at 5, you should really try. I mean, at least, look, I don't want to use myself as an example, but I pride myself, again, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, that I always, wherever I go, I see, okay, I'm in such and such place. At what time is Brahma Muhurta these days? Okay, it's like, for example, today it starts at 6:06 a.m. and it goes for 48 minutes always. So 6:06 to 5:54. Those are the 48 most important minutes of the day. Prabhupada says this is the time when you should focus on Radha Krishna. That's the time when you should chant japa. Or maybe do your puja and listen to a lecture. In other words, you got to absorb your mind in Krishna, ideally, right? So for that, you have to be enthusiastic. Okay, I'm going to put my alarm clock, and I know I want to go on Instagram for another half hour, but I'm not. I'm going to, go to sleep now so that I'll be fresh enough tomorrow morning so I can wake up and take a shower or at least sprinkle my face with water and chant Hare Krishna during that Brahma Muhurta, right? For example, I'm enthusiastic about following the 4 regulative principles. I'm enthusiastic to participate in the Janmashtami decorations of the altar. I'm enthusiastic to cook for Krishna. Excuse me, that enthusiasm is important. And endeavoring with confidence, number 2. Like you have to believe that, okay, Krishna will take care of me, and I'm doing the right thing in my life, and Krishna really is God, And 3, being patient. Prabhupada gives the example. What example does Prabhupada give? It's an innocent, beautiful example of a young married woman. in the commentary. Anyone remember the analogy? He mentions that when a lady gets married, she generally wants children, and then but she has to wait at least 9 months, no, from the time she gets married to have her child. So in a similar way, we may want to immediately become pure devotees, but we have to be patient and know that this is a gradual process, and we'll become purified as to the degree that we're sincere, and to the degree ultimately that Krishna decides and purifies our heart. So enthusiasm, but at the same time being patient. Acting according to the principles of Shravanam Kirtanam. So yeah, you have to have, you have to have your sadhana, you have to chant your rounds, and you have to read Shastra, you have to go to the Bhakti Shastri course. Congratulations, everybody. It's late for you already, and still you're sticking around to absorb yourself in thoughts of Rupa Goswami and Prabhupada and Krishna. This is glorious. It's a great example. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. Now, of course, you have work, you have professional responsibilities. Maybe some of your family members are not Vaishnavas, so you have to live in this world. You have to be diplomatic. You have to be friendly. You have to be loving, even to non-devotees. At the same time, in your heart of heart, you are careful not to perhaps completely give your heart to someone who's, for example, very inimical to Krishna. That's why it says to abandon the association of non-devotees. And finally, to follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. What does it mean to follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas? Does it mean like you hopefully you hope that their shoes are a little wet
No,
and that
no.
it's dry outside?
Following the instructions.
Who said no, no, no?
Me.
Okay, Hitika. Why no, no, no?
Not that we just follow the footsteps. It's that we follow the instructions.
Yes, the Gitika said. Oh, you have similar names, Gitika and Hitika. Yes, you follow the instructions. Everyone got that? That's a really important point. This is a common understanding in Vaishnavism, that to follow in the footsteps of the guru and the previous acharyas is to follow their instructions. Just like when Prabhupada went to Vrindavan, it's mentioned in the Lilamrita, by Satsvarup Maharaj. Who hasn't read the Lilamrita by Satsvarup Maharaj, the biography of Prabhupada? Has everyone read it? Oh no.
I forgot the name.
It should be a mandatory book, I think, in the Bhakti Shastri. It's one of the early biographies of Prabhupada. It was written by His Holiness Satsvarup Maharaj, and they made it's a 6-volume big book, but they made a condensed version. And anyway, I have the audio book, and I listen to it when I take prasadam or whatever. And just today I was hearing how, when Prabhupada had a heart attack, right? He came to America in 1965, 66, and then 66 or 67, he had a stroke. And he felt that he had to go back to India to get Ayurvedic treatment, to be in India where he was more comfortable, where it was especially was warm, because he wanted this heat and the hot sun, which he was used to, which he was definitely not getting in the cold winter of New York. So he went there, and he had an American sannyasi already there called Drishtadyumna Swami, if I'm not mistaken, who was there, preaching in India. Maybe he was a brahmachari, but anyway, he was preaching there. And then Prabhupada told him, after a few months, of taking the Ayurvedic medicine and being in the sun, he said, okay, now I'm 90% recovered. I'm going to go back to New York. And his disciple said, no, please, don't go, because, how can I be happy? Because that means you'll leave me. I'll be stuck in India now without you. And then Prabhupada said, no, if you follow my instruction, we'll be together. Yeah, I'll be with you. And Lord Chaitanya himself gave that instruction. To who? To the Kurma Brahmana in South India. Very important instruction. When Lord Chaitanya was in South India during Chaturmasya, those 4 months where usually sadhus stopped traveling because it was so rainy. So he spent the 4 months of Chaturmasya in South India, somewhere, probably Sri Rangam, if I'm not mistaken. and he was staying at the house of this Brahmin, this Grihasta Brahmin. And before Lord Chaitanya was about to leave, this Kurma Brahmana approached him and said, "My Lord, I want to go with you. I want to take sannyas with you, and I just want to go with you." And Lord Chaitanya said, "No, no, no, no. You follow my instructions. Stay home and continue in your grihasta life, and be Krishna conscious. And in this way, you'll always be with me. We'll always be together." So it's an important point. Okay, who wants to read number 4? A beautiful verse about love, about loving dealings. Someone who hasn't read yet. Who was it who raised their hand first? Was it Barka? I think you raised your hand first. So Barka, and then Doshna can read the next one. So go ahead, Barka.
Hare Krishna. Text 4. Offering gifts and charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind and confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasadam, and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another.
These are important things we have to remember to do, to give gifts to the Vaishnavas, and hopefully receive some. You can't really control that one. It's like, hopefully someone will think of you and give you a gift. A Vaishnava will give you a gift, but at least from your side, you should remember to give some gifts to the Vaishnavas, And then revealing one's mind in confidence is important. Of course, you don't want to reveal your mind to any devotee, because even among the devotees, there's some that you trust, some that you don't trust, some that you don't know if they're going to break your trust, if they're going to keep confidentiality. So those devotees that you feel like-minded with, that you have trust in, that you have faith in, that you consider as your someone that you can confide in, you reveal your mind, you reveal your doubts, you ask questions, you inquire. And then, same thing, like you reveal your mind or you inquire confidentially. So you can explain also, you can explain your realization about so-and-so or such and such. Like right now, the few realizations I'm sharing with you, I guess technically I'm revealing my mind in confidence. And if someone has questions, you're inquiring confidentially. And then, of course, prasadam key, accepting prasadam and serving prasadam. So if you keep your life full of these 6 activities, then you'll be happy in bhakti. Great. So I think we had who was going to read after? I mentioned the name. Doshna, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yes.
Text 5, translation. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisance to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Hare
What does
Krishna.
Hare Krishna? Very good. What does the word propensity mean? Anyone who hasn't spoken yet? What does the word propensity mean?
It's like, Prabhuji, urge.
Urge, yes. Yes, good. There's another definition that's maybe more precise. Anyone who hasn't spoken yet? A lot of you
Tendency?
are. Yes, who said that?
Shobha.
Yoba, yes, the tendency, exactly, the proclivity, the tendency. So what's very interesting in this verse? The pure devotee, man or woman, who is advanced in undeviated devotional service, and what's his or her qualification?
Devoid of the propensities of the criticize others.
Yes. Devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So this is amazing, if you ask me. Again, a very universal, almost scientific definition of what a pure devotee is. Again, it has nothing to do with caste, nothing to do with sex, nothing to do with age, nothing to do with skin color, nothing to do with place of birth, nothing to do with even like knowledge. You know, we have examples of, I mean, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who was the main disciple, actually the only disciple of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Anyone who hasn't spoken yet in our parampara, who was the one and only grand, I mean, in the sense of grand, Shobha, who was the main disciple of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj? You can speak, Shobha.
No, actually, Prabhuji, you had said that you hasn't listened
Oh, you
about it.
haven't. Okay, so who knows who the most, you know, he only had one disciple, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, as you know, is in our parampara. If you look at our ISKCON altars or the books, you have Prabhupada, and then there's someone, and then there's Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj.
Bhakti
So,
Vinod Thakur,
no, but good try.
Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur,
Yeah, who said that? I
Roshni.
think. Okay. Hey, Prabhus, I want some more It's great that, you know, whoever's speaking there's great enthusiasm, but I see there's so many students here. You know, Pinky, Ritika, Seema, Prem, Manisha, Meena, Jai, Tulsi. So if you all can perhaps come in with us, that'd be even sweeter. But again, no force or anything. Yeah, so someone, I forgot who mentioned Bhaktisiddhanta. So what did Prabhupada say about Bhaktisiddhanta once? He mentioned that my spiritual master was I mean, you don't have to know this because it's kind of...
Lion Guru.
It's not. Yes, Lion Guru, very good. He also said my guru was a walking...
Encyclopedia.
Yes, a walking encyclopedia. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, according to Prabhupada, was extremely knowledgeable. That's why they called him, you know, like he studied astrology. He was an amazing astrologer. An astronomer. He just gave that up. And well, I mean, there's no better way than Prabhupada said it. A walking encyclopedia. His guru, if you read his books, it's like super complex English, isn't it? His guru was Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj could not even sign his name. He was illiterate, they say. He didn't know how to write. And yet he was, you know, a great Vaishnava Acharya. Why do I mention this? Because again, material qualifications are not what gets you Krishna, what gets you advancement in spiritual life. However, being free of the propensity to criticize others, that's a symptom of someone who's very advanced. And it also shows kind of our ugly side. Because if you're free from the propensity to criticize, and that means you're very advanced, that means most of us have the propensity to criticize, isn't it? When we look into the mirror, we have a propensity to criticize and to be vengeful. Of course, sometimes if you're in a position of authority, you have to speak the truth. But the tendency to criticize others for the sake of placing oneself above or better than others, or to take revenge, is not good at all. So that's what we should associate with the advanced devotee. Those who have taken initiation, and we'll speak about initiation in the purport because it's interesting that, like, Prabhupada instituted this first and second initiation, whereas before, for centuries, there was really only one initiation, which is what we generally call second initiation in ISKCON. Diksha traditionally meant what we call today. Hey, the boss is here.
Hey, Hare Krishna. Chandra, I'm very sorry. I'm like, highly
No,
apologize. I have these
come on,
classes, so
Prabhu. On
yeah.
the contrary.
It's really good to see you.
You
Please
too,
continue.
Prabhu.
I don't
Thank
want
you.
to be a hindrance.
No, on the contrary, you've brought even more auspiciousness.
It's
We're reading through the verses, and then we'll just take a little break and then, go on for another 40 minutes. So yes, those who have taken initiation, we make friends with them. We offer obeisances to them, and then those who chant Hare Krishna. So anyone who chants Hare Krishna, we mentally honor them. So in other words, someone who, for example, I don't know, may not be so strict in their sadhana, or you see them sometimes. Some pious Hindu comes to the temple on Janmashtami and touches his ears, and I don't know why there's this thing in India where they I remember when I was a brahmachari in LA. I'm saying this with affection for the poor man, and not even poor man, but we're brahmacharis. Sometimes brahmacharis have like inside jokes, no. And so every couple of days there was this nice pious Indian gentleman, in his pants and shirt and going to work, and he would come during Guru Puja, and he would and we were 20 years old, and kind of lighthearted young people. We would laugh at a lot of things, and so, and we couldn't help laugh because he would come up to Prabhupada very seriously with his flower petals, and he would, put him at Prabhupada's feet, and then he would do this, like he would do a whole ritual of like touching his ears like that, and we would like burst out laughing. I mean, we didn't want to embarrass him, but then later on, in the ashram, we would like imitate him and and laugh. So I mean, hey, maybe he's a pure devotee. Forgive me if he is. But someone who, for example, just maybe smokes cigarettes on a regular basis, or is just a pious Hindu who just says Hare Krishna once in a while. He chants Hare Krishna. We respect him mentally. We respect him mentally. But someone who's an actual sadhaka, who chants, who has a dedicated sadhana, that Vaishnava or Vaishnavi, we actually offer obeisances to him or her, and why not serve also? I mean, Rupa Goswami doesn't say here we should serve them, but of course we should serve. We should always serve. We're eternal servants, but especially the advanced devotee, then it's even more advantageous to serve them. And again, what is the qualification, or what is the symptom of a very advanced devotee? Someone who hasn't replied yet. One of the symptoms, and Rupa Goswami mentions it here. Yeah, Jatin, you'll probably write it, right? Because you're still in the library.
No, my colleagues have left, so it is now empty. I can speak. I
Okay.
just want to add that it's something else. I'm not answering your question, sorry. But the thing you mentioned, like saying it meant they are feeling regretful for their bad
Okay.
activities,
Yes.
or repent
Right.
in a temple, like we have done wrong, evil things, and we won't do that again. That's something. But sorry for interrupting.
No, thank you. Now I feel guilty for having, but it looked really, really silly though. I'm sorry. In Los Angeles, it just looked silly, so I don't feel guilty that we laughed at it. But yeah, I love, like in Bengal, they go like this. I don't know if it's in other regions of India, but I know in Bengal, when you do something bad, you go like this, right? But he like did like this, like he actually did like an extra cross here. So anyway, sorry. May Krishna bless him.
I can tell you another juicy side of it.
Go for it, please.
So the idea is like when they do that, generally, if you look closely, when they do that, generally you see like when there's something before that. They'll come to the temple, they will stand in front of the deity, and they will fold their hands and they will close their eyes. Okay, so that which is to be seen, the object of our sight for the three worlds, which is Krishna himself, when they come in front of Krishna, they will close their eyes. And when they go outside, they will, with their eyes wide open, they will see everything that is not to be seen, or not. There's no necessity for seeing that. And so then when they close their eyes, they come there, they close their eyes, fold their hands, and then they start that motion that, I am touching my ears. Okay. I am like, and then something like this. That means I am even like rubbing my nose on the ground. I am shaking my head.
That's beautiful,
I'm not
actually. It's
gonna,
beautiful.
yeah, I'm not going to take your darshan.
Oh no, come on. That's too cynical.
That's another brahmachari joke from Indian
Acha.
ashrams. Yeah, that's like LA ashram jokes. This is the Indian
That's
ashram
funny.
jokes. Anyway, so that's
It is sad to close the eyes in front of the deities, isn't it? That's a
Yeah,
great
why
point
are
you
you
make.
closing your eyes in front of the
Maybe
deities?
because of Mayavad influence?
Yeah, it's Mayavad. It's because of that
Please tell
Mayavad
us.
thing. They
Please
have
tell
this
us
Karam
why.
Kanda. Yeah,
Please
it's
tell
just
us.
like I'm looking the Lord within my heart when the Lord is standing in front of you. So it's just basically, the remnants of and a hodgepodge of the Hindu culture, what it has come to be. The original Sanatan thing has like long gone.
Because the deity is simply a receptacle of Brahman, and we are that
Exactly.
Brahman. So you can just
Exactly.
close your eyes and
Yeah, you close
and
your
and
eyes and
just
see
focus
the
on
deity,
yourself.
you see the Krishna inside or whatever.
Not
That's not
even
even
Krishna,
Krishna.
just see
That's like
Brahman.
some light.
Brahman.
Yeah, the Brahman light.
Yeah.
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 So that's
Good point. Jai Jai. So yeah, just see, I'm criticizing this pious man who came a long way from work to go offer flowers to Prabhupada, and here I am criticizing him in the verse. You see, that shows I'm not very advanced at all. But yeah, let us pray that we don't criticize others. So, someone who has not read yet, verse number 6, Ria. I think Ria raised her hand first.
Hare Krishna. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of pure devotee, but despite such same defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the water of the which
Ganges,
sometimes
Ganges,
during the rain, Ganges, which sometimes
Ganges,
during the
Ganga,
rainy
Ganga.
season,
Sorry.
yeah, Ganga,
In English, you
which
say
sometimes
Ganges, but it's okay.
Ganga,
Yeah, Ganga.
which
Okay.
sometimes during the rainy seasons are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganga's water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bath in the Gangas without considering the condition of water. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you see, this verse is especially for those who are Vaishnavas, like this first or second generation Vaishnavas, like me, for example, and who are not born in India. It's an extremely important verse, an extremely important verse, and we champion Prabhupada, and we adore Prabhupada for having stood up for this verse. If I'm not mistaken, in the purport to this verse itself, if not there, he mentions in some other purports, Prabhupada mentions, for example, that, some members of a caste Brahmin community object to giving the title Goswami to devotees who may not be Indian, what to speak of being, from a Goswami family. This is not new. I mean, even Narottam Das Thakur was criticized. He gave initiation to two of his main disciples who were from Brahmin families. I forgot their names. And their parents were outraged. How can you take initiation from, Narottam Das Thakur, who I think was from a Kayasta family, if I'm not mistaken, definitely not a Brahmin, right? So Prabhupada he had so much faith in this verse, and he fought, he defended his non-Brahmin or non-Indian disciples like anything. For example, and there's so many examples, but for example, Prabhupada was furious when devotees, when the pandas of the Jagannath Puri temple did not allow, and they still don't allow, non-quote unquote Hindus, or basically those who don't have Indian skin, to enter to the Jagannath temple. One of my favorite stories that Dinabandhu Prabhu, Bimal Prasad Prabhu probably knows him. Dinabandhu Prabhu is a Prabhupada disciple who, from New York originally, or American, white, who lives in Vrindavan, who's lived in Vrindavan for decades and decades, and he takes devotees on parikrama, and he tells wonderful stories. And one of my favorite stories, again, because look, I'm American, I'm French, I'm white, and I'm one of the early adopters of Vaishnavism outside of India. So I'm one of those, tiny little fish who's swimming against a huge current. Maybe in 500 years, when hopefully Vaishnavism will have, establish itself in the West, hopefully outside of the Indian diaspora, Bimal Prasad Prabhu.
Amen.
It's not looking good right now.
Why?
Well, because ISKCON is really only spreading within the Indian diaspora.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
It's just
So
that's what Krishna
hopefully,
asked us not to do.
right, exactly. So as someone who's one of the early adopters, you feel intimidated, and so there's this wonderful story where Prabhupada, and you all, you were born in Hindu family, but you were born in Pakistan. So technically, according to some idiotic caste Brahmins in India, you also, are born from, fallen countries, blah, 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 all these material calculations. So according to Dinabandhu Prabhu, an innocent American disciple of Prabhupada went to to downtown Vrindavan and went to one of the main, 7 temples. I don't know if it was Radha Gopinath or Radha Damodar. And then he was standing in front of Radha Krishna very respectfully, and the pujari saw him and mentioned to him, I see that you have a lot of, that story, Bimal Prasad Prabhu?
No, I don't
man.
know.
Wonderful story. So according to Dinabandhu Prabhu, I don't think he made this up. I don't think he could have, because it's a thing that only Prabhupada would say, only Prabhupada with such faith in this 4th verse of the Gita, such, transcendental vision. So this caste Brahmin, he tells this, probably well-meaning, he tells this American devotee, I see that you have a lot of devotion for my Thakur, my. So I bless you. I bless you that in your next life, you can take birth here in Vrindavan, in my family, and you can go on the altar and worship the deity yourself. So this devotee was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Oh, what a blessing. So he runs back, or he takes a rickshaw back to Krishna Balaram Mandir. Prabhupada was there, and he goes and he bursts into Prabhupada's room. According to the story, Prabhupada, the pujari of such and such temple gave me this amazing blessing. And Prabhupada's like nonchalant, okay, what is it? Oh, he told me that in my next life, I can take birth here in Vrindavan in his family, and I can worship the deity personally. And then Prabhupada, totally cool, says, go back there and tell that pujari that Bhaktivedanta Swami blesses him that in his next life, he can take birth in America and spread the Krishna consciousness movement.
I know of such a like directly I know a story with like one Prabhupada's disciples, like is not no more like he on this like he has departed. Bhakti Gaurav Nrsimha Maharaj, Jagat Guru Swami. So he was like
Okay, from the
visiting.
Gaudiya Math.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he was visiting, I think some South Indian temple. I forgot that. It's Guruvayur. Okay. So in Guruvayur, there, like when he went there for the darshan, and they told him that yes, like this is good that you are like doing this bhakti, all of that, you have taken the sannyas, all of this thing, very good. For like as a result of that, you will take birth here, like and like like next life you will go back to Godhead by taking birth. And all. You know what Maharaj retorted? He asked him, what sin will I have to commit to take another birth?
Ooh. Wow, what courage to say that.
What sin I have to commit to take another birth? Because if this is bhakti, anyway, go ahead. It's like, it's just an apartheid of another kind. It's just like
Skin
apartheid.
disease. Prabhupada called it skin disease, isn't it?
Skin disease.
Like, and it goes both ways, but again, it you see it a lot. Like I'll tell. I have a friend who's actually in the Gaudiya Math. He was raised in the Gaudiya Math, and I was shocked, and I got so kind of angry at him we had this discussion, and he was telling me, it's nice that there's some sannyasis or some gurus who are not Indian, but like if I had to take initiation, I would only take initiation from an Indian guru.
Good luck.
Well, I mean, of course, there's some who are very advanced, of course. And the point is, it doesn't matter what skin color, the point. And here's the verse. Let's just go back to basics here. You know, being situated in his or her original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. So even if you're talking about a very advanced soul in an Indian body, that advanced soul does not identify as an Indian, does not identify with his or her body. And such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. You know, what skin color, what caste, and so on. One should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family. Boom, it's right there. Or a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly, and so now Rupa Goswami reminds us of the Ganga. The Ganga remains pure. No matter how many impurities you put into it, it still remains pure. Isn't there a story of how they would take Ganges water like across long boat journeys because that Ganges water would just simply not develop bacteria in it, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
There's something like that defies modern science with Ganga water. So in the
It's a
similar
fact.
way, isn't it?
It's a fact. It's a fact. It's like in earlier times when like India was ruled by the British. So the princes, the princes or the Maharajas of India, when they would travel, like even for a journey to Britain, they will fill in like big jars of Ganga water because that is not going to get contaminated. They can drink.
Amazing. So in the similar way, I mean, I hate speaking of myself here, but here's this white boy, and I'm not saying I am, by your mercy and the mercy of the Vaishnavas, I can get some purity, but if I am pure, doesn't matter if I have a white body or American body or French body or born in a caste Brahmin, Banerjee family, doesn't matter. And you should not, you should be attracted to me or not based on what comes out of my mouth, what my realizations, my consciousness, and based on that only you decide, okay, yes, I want to take shiksha from him or not, or I want to take I'm not advertising to be a diksha guru, but I want to associate with such and such Vaishnava or Vaishnavi. That is a purely spiritual consideration, and it really has to do with how much he or she inspires you at the level of your heart. How much in his or her association do you feel inspired to chant Krishna's names, to call out to Radha and Krishna, to have more enthusiasm to serve the mission, to perform more service? If that result is obtained by that sangha, then that devotee is definitely worth taking association from. And whether he's in a Martian body or a Venusian body or a Jupiterian body or earthly body, what to speak of black, white, or man or woman, or this or that other consideration is absolutely secondary. And Rupa Goswami tells us right here again at this point. So who hasn't read yet, who would like to read number 7? What I suggest is that, because it's getting late for you, and technically we're supposed to stop in 10 minutes only. So we'll just read verses. We'll just go through 11. Hopefully it won't take much more time than above the 10 more minutes. We won't make so many comments. So we'll stop at the designated time in about 10 minutes. And then, we'll continue tomorrow. So who would like to read, who hasn't read yet? I heard the beep, but I didn't see. So who was that? Who raised their hands first? I can't
Rocky.
tell. Rocky, please.
Prabhuji, only 7 or continue?
Please, just 7, and then we'll ask someone else to read 8, 9, 10, 11.
Right. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy, although the tongue of one affected by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet. It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his diseases gradually destroys at the root. Thank you.
someone's asking a question? Bimal Prasad Prabhu, there was this devotee, this is brahmachari actually, this black American devotee, very intelligent, Jagannath, I forgot his name. A few years ago, he's based at the Bhakti Center. Now he moved, but he printed a series, the same T-shirt. He printed about 200 of them, and he gave them or sold them. And it said, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And then in small print, or at least chant Hare Krishna. So for those, because after some time of chanting Hare Krishna, we may like, come on, man, I've been chanting for like 10 years, 20 years, and I'm still miserable. I'm still, completely overwhelmed by Maya. Like, what's going on? I'm not happy. Like Prabhupada says, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. I'm not happy, So he said, okay, chant Hare Krishna and be happy, or at least, look, if you're not happy, at least continue chanting Hare Krishna. And then that's, in a way, we could say what this verse says, that, we're not experiencing the spiritual bliss because of all our ignorance, but hey, just keep chanting. We'll definitely get into this verse later on. Okay, who hasn't read yet? Who would like to read verse number 8? That was Kishori, right?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Verse 8. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form qualities, and internal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Braj, Dolat, Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord below devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service.
Very good. So association, again, the importance of association, isn't it? And chanting, like the essence. In a way, you could say this verse is the most important verse in all the Vedic scriptures. The essence of all advice is that you should chant the holy name, reside in Braj. So what does it mean to live in Vrindavan? We'll discuss that. And to serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees, following the footsteps of the Lord's devotees. Very good. So someone, again, who has not read yet, text number 9. I think Nimerta.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The
So
holy
now,
place,
yes.
not
Very good. Just now, you see, now we're getting into the last 3 verses of the book, shifts to most esoteric, mystical, aspects of Krishna consciousness. Please.
the holy place, known as Mathura, is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura, Puri is the transcendental forest of the Vrindavana because of Krishna Rasa Leela pastimes, and superior to the forest of Vrindavana is Govardhana hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes, and above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kunda stands supreme, for it's overflowed with the ambrosial nectarine, prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kunda, which is situated at the foot of Govardhana?
So just a question. Mathura is where? Where is Mathura situated? Where?
India.
Yes, it's near Vrindavan, isn't it? So Mathura here is in the material world, like it's on planet Earth. Okay, it's a dham, granted, but it's on planet Earth. Now, Vaikuntha, where is Vaikuntha in our cosmology? Where is Vaikuntha situated?
Spiritual world.
The spiritual world. So Vaikuntha is literally like what Christians would call the kingdom of God, like, what you achieve after death, if you go there, like it's heaven, the spiritual world, the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, the eternal abode of God. So it's amazing that And because the material world, Krishna himself says, is Dukalyama Shashvatam. It's the place where souls, are sent to reject Krishna. At least, I accept the version of the rejecting, souls falling from the spiritual world. It's a topic that we don't need to get into. But the point is, the material world is the material world. It's temporary. It's full of suffering. It's, it's our acharyas call it the prison house, and so on. And yet, that place in the material world, Mathura, is superior even to the kingdom of God, to Vaikuntha, at least, to that region of the spiritual world. Amazing, huh? Why? Because Krishna appeared there. And so now gradually Rupa Goswami is giving us, even greater than Mathura is Vrindavan, right? Why? Because Krishna danced with the gopis there. and above all that is Radhakund. What, and it's overflooded with what? Someone who hasn't answered yet. Radhakund is overflooded with?
Mercy?
Yes, but Rupa Goswami mentions someone who hasn't answered yet.
Ambrose.
Okay, go ahead, Shiva. You have
Prem.
enthusiasm.
Ambrose
Yes, with
means
prem. Exactly,
Mm.
with prem. With love. That's why it's the greatest place. Maybe Bimala Prasad Prabhu, you'd like to read verse 10.
Okay, why not? Where is it? Wait.
I can
Let
put it
me
on screen if you
open
want.
this from. Yeah, I'm also trying, but anyway, yeah, it's one and the same thing. Okay, fair enough. In the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, the Jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. Wow, here Prabhupada is not writing Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. It is writing the transcendental cowherd boy.
Transcendental cowherd
Reading
boy.
in between the reading between the lines.
Mhm.
Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radhakund and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, aprakrita bhav, render loving service to the divine couple Sri Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radhakund are the most fortunate people in the universe. Yes.
Jai.
Jai.
When I was distributing books at the LA airport for those 4 or 5 years, I would go like this in Western clothes, and I had a shirt that had a pocket here, and in those times we had the small size, like we had the Nectar of Instruction, which is a small book, and the back side of the book had a picture of Radhakund. And I had this for me, it was a wonderful meditation because I would put 1 or 2 copies right there with the picture of Radhakund facing out. So if I just looked down like 45 degrees, I would see Radhakund, the picture of it. And it's non-different, right? The picture of Radhakund and Radhakund are non-different. And here I was approaching people to try to, get them to take a book of Prabhupada, which is devotional service. So even though I was in the LAX airport, in a way I was on the bank of the Radhakund, because it was like standing right here, the picture of it. And I was doing service, serving Lord Chaitanya's mission of preaching. And the book was right here. The picture of Radhakund was there. So I was literally like in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm on the bank of the Radhakund right now, Okay, the last person who has not read yet. Jatin, I think you maybe okay. Neha, you haven't read it all, right? or spoken?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Jatinji, don't mind, huh? Go ahead, Neha.
Of the many objects of favored delight, and of all the lovable damsels of Vrajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every aspect her divine Kunda is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radha Kunda is very rarely attained even by great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one pure love for Krishna is fully aroused. Hare Krishna.
Jai. So we'll speak about bathing in Radhakund, later on when we get more in depth. Jai, Radhakund ki Jai. So Prabhus, what I suggest is we put all ourselves on mute to leave just my voice, not because I'm special or anything, because we'll just chant. We'll do a little kirtan for 5 minutes, and it'll work better if everyone mutes themselves, so there's no delay. So everybody mute yourselves, and then we'll just chant for 3 minutes, and end like that. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. And I'll share with you, I don't know, a picture, one of my favorite pictures of well, why not? Everyone knows this picture of Nishingadev. Might as well. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Hare, if you just mute yourself, I'll mute everyone again, just to be sure. I don't know how to mute everyone, but yeah, please.
Let me see. I'll mute everyone.
Okay, cool.
Please.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, everyone. Thank you for your Sangha. Thank you, Bimal Prasad Prabhu, for inviting me. And we'll see each other tomorrow. Maybe I'll send a few questions. And yeah, we'll join again tomorrow.
All glories to Chandrasekhar Prabhu. All glories to Prabhupada. Chandrasekhar Prabhu ki Jai. Thank you so much.
Jai.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Hare Krishna.
Night.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna,
much.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare
Good
Krishna.
night.
Hare Krishna.
Have a good evening. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.